welcome. This is the interview on Linda Ikeji TV. My name is Topo Olonio. With me in the studio today is the one and only leader or head of the Free People movement, celebrity on a personality, and trust me, he's the host you want for your next show. Let's meet Freeze. Do you like my intro?
Lovely, lovely.
I thought so.
Reminds me of that girl that goes around with Daenerys Targaryen and does the intro.
I can't believe you did that. I think she has one of the, as much as she shows in almost every scene Daenerys shows in, I feel like her role is not something I would like to play because she doesn't have lines.
She doesn't have lines, but that intro is mad, man.
Queen of this one, Mother of the Dragons.
Mother of Dragons, the Unburnt.
The Unburnt. And then she finishes and she just keeps quiet. And Daenerys takes it up. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
How have you been?
Alive, kicking, thank God.
Alive and kicking. No, you look like you're eating all the money this country has to offer.
Looks are very deceiving, trust me on that one. I'm one of those people who likes to strut around in flip-flops all year round.
Okay.
So when I have one occasion I dress up, people say, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
It's been there.
It's because I don't do it every day.
Yes.
If I had to do it every day, I'll probably be broke.
Okay, so talking about how you come out.
Yeah.
Now, there's this thing about everybody knows Freeze with the wristwatches. We all know you with the wristwatches, and you just like to oppress we that cannot afford to buy them expensive wristwatches. So let's talk about your love for wristwatches.
Unfortunately, I don't like football.
Okay.
What I like is, I like planes, I like cars, I like watches.
Okay.
Personal likes. If I'm not doing Free the Sheeple or I'm not doing radio. What if I go to Dubai, I dedicate 2 days to going to the mall, to move from Vacheron Constantin to Piaget, to Patek Philippe, to Rolex, and I will spend at least 2 hours in each of these shops. And that's my holiday. If I go to France, it's the same thing. They'll kick me out of the shop when they're done with me because I'll ask so many questions. I'll try on all the models. I'll ask if this can be done, if you can have the combination of this case with this strap, if I can have customization done. I was in Frank Mueller in Romania, I think, and I was trying out all sorts of ideas with the manager and telling him I wanted this kind of customization. It's what I like. Sometimes I kick myself for it, but I sat down and said, it's not my fault that I don't like football and other little cheap things. This is what I like.
Yeah.
You know, football is big for those playing, never for those watching.
True.
Yes.
You don't get paid for watching.
Unfortunately. Neither do I get paid for wearing watches, but I'm a wristwatch enthusiast. I read about watches. I cannot call myself an authority on watches anymore because I've not had as much time as I would have loved to have to dedicate to timepieces. Okay. But I'm knowledgeable in my own little right. Okay,
so let's talk about the Free the Sheeple movement. Now, what inspired you to start the Free the Sheeple movement?
Moving around every day in Nigeria and seeing the greed, the downright fraudulent behavior of quote and unquote men of God. You know, I call them on their first name basis. I don't know them from anywhere. And they're not men of God to me, none of them. I went to Romania. Let me just give you an example for my holiday. I was there for 2 weeks. Romania is a poor country by all standards. But guess what? 2015 and between 2015 and 2017, they exported 1 million cars produced in Romania. They have a local car company called Dacia, and Dacia is the 5th biggest by volume car company in the entire Europe. This is a poor country. They had a revenue of 4.8 billion euros in 2015 alone from producing cars, and that is 7% of their export. Okay. Their roads are perfect, education is good and free. My sister went to have her baby there. The only thing she paid for was her ticket, and when she was leaving, she dashed the doctor $300. He was all over his head. No one has ever dashed him money before for doing his work. You understand? It's absolutely amazing, but you see them, they're rated a poor country, and they believe that they're poor. They hear of Nigeria and they say, wow, you guys have oil, you guys are rich. And I look around, a taxi driver was driving me around Cluj-Napoca. And he said, did I know that Cluj was the second safest city in Europe? And I'm like, you have safety. Their internet, for the equivalent of 10 euro, which is about 4K, I got 35 gig on my phone. I couldn't finish it. When I left, I gave my mom the SIM card. She's still using it till now. You guys have internet. You guys have roads. You guys have safety. I took a bus, as in public bus, one of those big luxury buses for a 13-hour journey. No police on the road, no thief. And I'm like, what is it that you have that we don't have? And I realize it's the mindset. They have no billionaire pastors. They have very few Pentecostal churches. Nobody I know pays their tithe. And then I come here to the rich country, and from the airport, I'm scared. I see the lack in the airport. The AC is not working. The escalator is not working. Nothing works. On your way home, the car hits one pothole or the other. This from the airport to VI. I'm not going to Mushin or Alagbado or one of those places. I'm coming to the island. The roads are bad. Police checkpoints everywhere. They just finished robbing. They just finished beheading. They just finished jungle justice. And I'm like, what is wrong with us? Our minds. So the Free the Sheeple movement is a movement aimed at breaking those invisible chains that hold a person captive. Culture is one of them. If you are 35 years old and you're not married, you can't be happy. Why should you be happy? You're not married. Where's that coming from? Is Oprah Winfrey not happy? Who makes these things that enslave other people? So now I'm poor, I'm drinking Gary, but I'm married. And I'm looking down on someone who drives a Range Rover, flies business class, owns a company that is not married, and I'm making that person feel inferior because that person doesn't have a husband. That's a mental chain. A woman gets married, she cannot get divorced. It's a mental chain. One pastor was saying it the other day, if you are 35 years old and you're not married as a man, you are irresponsible. Hello. Isaac got married at 40 according to the Bible. And nowhere in the Bible was he considered irresponsible. So these are things that are holding us down as human beings and are not adding any value to us. We go to religion. That's where the world's biggest fraud is perpetrated. I'm someone who hates religion. Hitler was one of the worst people in the world, according to statistics. In the last 100 years, Hitler killed 11 million people. Religion killed 100 million people. So as far as I'm concerned, religion is worse than Hitler. Take a look at the Middle East today. What do we have there? Religion. Is it pleasant? No, it's violent. Look at Nigeria. My woman cooks, my fiance. So she's Igbo. When her brothers get up and start saying, by brothers I mean fellow tribesmen, saying, we have to have Biafra, she's not with them. Because she knows that the garden egg she uses comes from the north. The onion she uses comes from the north. The tomatoes, the pepper, the goat meat, the cow, all come from the north. Now, Igbos are very enterprising. Instead of using the enterprise of the Igbos to sell the products that we have in the north, they've used religion to create a barrier between the entrepreneur and the producer. So we're in a rut. Another problem fueled by religion. What is Boko Haram? Religion. Now, the world has realized that one of the easiest ways to play politics is through religion. Oh yes, it's been for ages, the Crusades, all the way through terrorism, Boko Haram, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. It's religion infused into politics for a political end. So I look at religion and I see the man who's being religious as a tool being used by the man selling him that religious brand and being used as a puppet to fulfill a larger purpose that never benefits him. So I try to wake people up. Hello, wake up. This guy that is telling you that if you bring your tithe, God will bless you, is telling you lies.
Okay, so are you saying that people are not supposed to pay tithe?
Let me break this down to you properly.
Please do.
If you pay tithe to any Nigerian pastor, you are a goat.
Okay.
Especially if you neglect what you're supposed to do. I've had people argue with me, so you think I'm giving my money to my pastor? I'm giving it to God. Hello. The transfer of earthly wealth to spiritual wealth was done in the Bible in Matthew 25. And it has nothing to do with pastors. You want to give your money to Jesus? The Bible says the people who are in the hospitals, Matthew 25 is right there. People who are homeless, people who are hungry, people who are naked. Jesus said, each time you remember those people, you remember me. So if you want to give your money to Jesus, those are the people you should help. Not one private jet flying Daddy Gio, who as far as I'm concerned, should be given to you. Now, a lot of people are under the bondage of, there's a very popular Nigerian verse written by the lesser prophet Malachi when he was addressing the people. And it's Malachi 3:8-10. But because you have no biblical knowledge and you choose not to read and enlighten yourself, you fall victim. These people that are supposed to pray for you are actually preying on you. The story starts in Nehemiah 10:38. The instruction is clear. The Lord says the Levites, who are the ones that are entitled to receive the tithe, should give 10% of the tithe. Only 10% is what you give the priest to take to the storehouse. So let's imagine you pay tithe, you earn 100K a month, you pay tithe of 10K. Out of that 10K, 1K is what is supposed to be given to the priest. You can check it out, Nehemiah 10:38. And the priests are supposed to take it to the storehouse. Now the priests were not taking it to the storehouse. So Malachi 2:1 says, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. And it extends all the way down into Malachi 3:10. So the instruction is, you are robbing me, not you, not me. The priests who are supposed to take 10% of the tithe into the storehouse are the ones robbing God, not you. Hello. And they've hoodwinked an entire nation. I sit down and I look. Romania has a population of about 20 million. Nigeria has 80 million Christians. So these mega churches are sitting on countries. So even if you say Nigeria is not a Christian nation, so you can't expect, hello, you get 10% of 80 million people's income. What are you doing with it? Oh, you're building more churches and enslaving more people. How does that progress transfer to electricity, to jobs, to schools? Now you're in these mega churches, you cannot get married to anyone who doesn't pay tithe in the church. More. So, and you're expecting me not to stand? Now, if you were selling a genuine doctrine, I would say, okay, but it's a false doctrine. Jesus never paid tithe, never collected tithe, never told his disciples to pay tithe. He addressed the scribes and the Pharisees when he was speaking about tithe, and he spoke about it in passing and rebuking them. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees! You remember to pay tithe of your herbs. And by the way, back then, tithe was herbs and plants and animals. And someone said to me, Daddy Freeze, there was no money back then. Will you keep quiet? There was money. Deuteronomy 14 from 22 to 26 breaks down tithe, and this as far back as the time of Moses. And it says, if the place the Lord has chosen for you to bring your tithe to is too far, sell your tithe and bring the money and use it to buy whatever you want. And the things included beer and strong drink. And you are supposed to eat this foods and drink this strong drink in the place the Lord has chosen. Hello, have you ever seen anybody drink beer inside church? So I don't know. It's like I'm sitting down here, I'm reading the Bible, I'm studying the scripture, I'm doing my research, and I'm seeing something that's absolutely different. It's like sleep and death. And then you're telling me that it is That what you are selling to me that I know is absolutely, I don't even see any iota of truth in it.
Okay, so let's look at it from this angle. If these churches that we pay tithe to, if it did happen that we see them creating infrastructures that help create jobs, make the society a better place, would you say that it's safe, it's good to pay tithe?
Now you've got a good point. You see, if you read the book of Deuteronomy 14:22 down to 26, it is stated what the tithe is meant for, and it's not every month. Tithe, the first year you're supposed to eat your tithe. Deuteronomy 14, just go and have your time, spend your time reading. The second year, you're supposed to eat your tithe. The third year, you're supposed to give it to the Levites. The Levites are supposed to give 10% to the priests, and it goes on like that. The fourth year, you eat. The fifth year, you eat. The sixth year, you give it to the Levites, who give 10% to the priest. And the seventh year, you don't tithe, because that's the year you take a rest, according to the law.
Okay.
So, I don't see how that turns to every month.
But you earn money every month.
Yes, but those days too, the first year you earn whatever you earn the whole year, you take the tithe out of it and you go and eat it in the place the Lord has chosen. You only give it to the Levites in the third year, the year of the tithe. So how does something you do once in 3 years become something you do every month? How did it evolve? Who died and it turned around like that? Then you back up tithing because you say Abraham gave tithe to Melchizedek, who was the king and the priest. Hello, Abraham was coming from a war and he gave tithe of what he gathered from the war to Melchizedek. He didn't give out of his personal things, and it's only recorded in the Bible once that he gave tithe. So he won a war and gave tithe out of the proceeds of that war to Melchizedek, and that has now become your basis for monthly tithing. And nobody questions these things. You question them, you become a devil.
Okay, so still back to my question. You didn't answer it first. Are you saying that if people heed to advice now and...
Sorry, I was trying to answer it. That's why I went to the book of Deuteronomy. What you're supposed to do with the tithe is you're supposed to give 10% to the priest. Then the remaining 80% is supposed to take care of the Levites. It's supposed to take care of the orphans. It's supposed to take care of the widows. And it's supposed to take care of the strangers.
Like people we just see on the road.
Amongst you. So if you have a school that you built out of tithe payers' money that strangers who are not members of your church cannot attend, case closed. It's not, you're not doing what God said you should do. If you're building a hospital that is a profit-making hospital, it's not like it's a free hospital to treat. You set up a cancer center and you treat people for free. If you're making money from it, then I still would not pay my tithe to you or advise anybody to pay their tithe to you, just in case they feel like paying tithe to Levites. And by the way, you need to understand that Levites are a lineage. I cannot be the Oni of Ife. Can you be the Oni of Ife?
No.
Do you know why? Because you're not born into that family. It's the same thing with the Levites. You have to be a descendant of Levi to be a Levite. You don't collect it by anointing. You don't collect it by studying the scripture. You have to be a son of Levi.
So in our present day now, who would we refer to as the Levites?
They are there in Israel if you are looking for them. No Nigerian man qualifies to be a Levite. A Yoruba man cannot be. Are you a descendant of Levi?
Okay, so I'm still trying to... Okay, so now in our present day, the religious nature of Nigeria, which church would you say is closest to the interpretation of what the Christ-like church should be?
You have given me jam question. I would say the Orthodox, the Catholic, the Anglican to an extent, the Orthodox. I would cut out the Pentecostal totally from it. I'm sorry, I'm going to offend you and your pastor, but your pastor knows that what he's telling you is not the truth. So no Pentecostal church, maybe the Catholic Church. Yes, they do have their own. Because when you go there, you don't just hear money, 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 come to me. You are going to receive a phone call. God is going to bless you this week. You have paid your tithe, he will rebuke. Hello. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So the only church that I would say comes close is the Catholic Church and maybe the Anglican Church. But even those ones too, you start seeing the hand of man.
Okay. So now let's talk about this your movement. I'm sure it hasn't been completely free of any problems with any.
Oh, we've had a lot of problems.
So now, have you had death threats, or have people come to tell you you mustn't do this anymore, you can't talk about this anymore? Have you gotten threats from people?
From a lot of people. People have threatened me with death. How do you protect the word of a man who healed the ear of someone who came to attack him? The ear was cut off by his own disciple. He healed the ear and told his disciple that if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. To show you how peaceful Jesus was. And yet you defend that Jesus with violence. So it doesn't make any sense to me. We've got a lot of death threats. Initially was a lot harder. People didn't believe at all. But after a while, people started seeing that this guy is making anything he tells you is in the Bible. If I tell you something and you don't find it in the Bible, ignore it. Do me a favor. Tell your pastor to preach Deuteronomy 14:22-26 in church next weekend. Let's see. I've never heard any pastor preach it. You should tithe a 10% of your income, and you should eat that tithe. It's there. It's Deuteronomy 14. They will never preach it. They don't want to confuse you into thinking that what you're supposed to give them to buy private jet, you want to start eating it. But at the end of the day, when you come up with things like that, especially when you're standing against what they believe is the norm and what they believe, nobody wants that their fantasy to be destroyed. It's like trying to tell a little child that Father Christmas does not really exist. There's no Santa Claus. No, it takes a while. And sometimes the children get angry. They want to believe that there's a Santa Claus, even though when they start getting older, they realize that there's no Santa Claus, but they don't want to kill that fantasy. But if that fantasy is robbing you blind, I'm here to kill it.
Okay, let's go on a break. We're still really going to talk about this, but let's go on a break. When we come back, we have a whole lot of interesting things to talk about. Back, we're still talking to Daddy Freeze, the leader of the Free the Sheep movement. It's been so interesting. I'm sure you guys have been enjoying the journey so far. So let's dig right back into it. Yes. Now, talking about everything, literally. Before we're still going to talk about the threats, I want to get your opinion now. We have churches that people give donations to, and then they build schools, and then these members of the church cannot afford to go to the school, and then you have outsiders coming to the school because they can afford it. What do you have to say about that?
It's all part of the fraud. You see, if you read the Bible, Corinthians 4:11, Paul is saying, and I quote, "We live in rags, we live in penury, we are hungry, we are homeless." That was the life the disciples lived. It wasn't about finances, it was about salvation. The other day I went on the radio and I said, you know what, I've cancelled unmerited favor. Because Nigerians don't know what unmerited favor is. The only unmerited favor that God is giving us is the fact that you are a sinner, you do not deserve salvation, and He gave it to you. That's the unmerited favor. But a Nigerian man believes that you are walking down the street selling orange, you run into an old classmate, the old classmate takes you, gives you a contract, you do it illegally, steal the money, you become a billionaire, God has blessed me. So you've got to understand that the modern day interpretation of religion is a financial one, especially Christianity. You open your bank app, you will see churches there. What?
But don't you think it's just them helping how do I put it now? Don't you think it's them helping individuals who want to make donations easier, so you don't have to wait all the way till Sunday?
Why are you donating to a church? I want to ask you. Acts 7:48 and 17:24 is very clear. The Lord does not dwell in a building built by human hands. This is the book of Acts of the Apostles. This is the New Testament. Why are you donating to a building and a man standing on the pulpit? The book of Thomas was cut out of the Bible, was never included in the Bible in the first place. So I use it. I cannot hold it as in the same regard as I hold books from the Bible, especially when I'm speaking to people who have their whole belief system only on the Bible. But the book of Thomas, I think it's 73b, says, Jesus was addressing people. He said, when I leave, lift a rock, you'd find me there. Split a wood, you'd find me there. I am in you and around you. So this notion of church being a building was what Jesus came to abolish when the veil in the temple was rent. He said, I will bring down this temple and rebuild it in 3 days. And they said it took over 40 years to build this temple. How are you going to rent it and build it back in 3 days? Because they saw the temple as a physical structure. Whereas he did bring down the temple and he did rebuild it in 3 days. But the temple was no longer a physical structure, but a spiritual structure. But we have got, you see, the spiritual structure is not going to put food on anybody's table. It's not going to buy private jet for anybody. It's not going to hire bodyguards for anyone. So they're not going to sell you that doctrine. They're going to take you back to that same temple he came to abolish. So I don't understand, if you are truly a Christian, truly following Christ, why are you donating money to a building?
What if it's for the purpose of, because I would like to believe there are churches that actually have projects that help people, that reach out to people. It may not be up to the money that they're getting in return, but they do something so people see that they actually do something. So what if it's because they believe, or what if people have the opinion of, you know what, I don't want to know what this church is doing with the money, but I'm going to put it because I believe God is seeing my heart. Good.
And that takes you back to the goat in Matthew 25. Jesus split the nation. He put the goat on the left and the sheep on the right. And the goat asked him, why are we going to everlasting hellfire? And he said, because you saw me sick and you ignored me. You saw me dying and you ignored me. You saw me hungry and you didn't feed me. You saw me thirsty, you didn't give me water. You saw me naked and you didn't give me clothes. And he said, when did we see you? When you neglected the next person. So if you're not sure what your church is doing with the money, you stand the risk of hellfire. Especially since most people in Nigeria, once they've given to the church, whatever they do as charity is little. Whereas the way to heaven is through charity. It's there in the Bible, Matthew 25. If you want to sit by my side in the kingdom that was created before you were born, give to these people. Pastor is not included, church is not included. So I don't know how you're able to transfer giving to the people who, let me tell you something, you want to help the poor? Let every Nigerian give tithe, 10% of what they earn, to someone poorer than them. We will not have problem in this country. Because as I am now, some people see me as poor. So if Babangida gives me 10% of his of his tithe, and I take 10%, I see somebody that is poor, I give him 10% of it, the next, you would see how evenly the money in this country will be distributed.
This part of the world where you have fetish things go on, that you give someone money, you just hear stories in the news that this person gave somebody money by the road and the person disappeared. Stuff like that would not encourage you to want to do that.
I also do not encourage begging on the roadside, because begging in itself is another scam. It's part of the Free the Sheeple movement. You see children on the road, you give them money, you're not helping them. Those children should be in school or should be learning a trade, but they are being used to beg money. The parents gather the money and they kick out to one madam or one chairman who keeps them there. Oh, it's a racket. So if you want to give to someone, go to the hospitals. You would see people who cannot pay their bills. It's there. There are people who go to the state hospitals. You see someone that gave birth, the bill is 15K, has been there 1 year, 3 months because of 15K. That one, you cannot give them that 15K and disappear. That's not part of the racket. By me saying give to charity, I don't mean start sharing money on the road. No. Make people's lives better. There are people who can't wear clothes. Buy them clothes. There are people who are hungry. Feed them. Instead of giving your money to a man in a suit standing behind a pulpit lying to your ass.
Has any pastor reached out to you?
Oh, so many. Including my former pastor, a man who I hold in high regard and I'll choose not to mention. We had a long talk and I respect him a lot. And I'm sure at the end of the talk, I was able to get him to listen to a bit of what I'm trying to say too. and I can't say we reach a consensus, but we heard each other. And they're the ones that see me there and are watching me from afar and praying wicked things to me, and I'm laughing at them.
Okay, so if you're going to, standing from the Free the Sheeple movement, if you're going to advise churches now on what churches and people on what they should do regarding tithing, what would you say is the best way for every person out there who pays tithe, that this is what you should do and you know that you do not stand the risk of hellfire?
Matthew 25. If you are a person, stop giving your money to any building, stop giving your money to any man. Give your money to the people Jesus said you should give, you should help. It's there. Sick, naked, people who can't take care of themselves, widows, orphans, strangers, help them. Now, I went to Genesis Deluxe Cinema the other day, and it was a Wednesday, and I watched a movie for 700 naira or something. And while watching the movie, I was like, wow. So someone can sit inside this hall, collect this AC, watch this movie for 700 naira. Why are you taking big money to go and give a church? First of all, these people are paying taxes, the church is not. Secondly, most of the people working in the church are volunteers. Here, there are people who have to be paid salary. So if this person can sell movie tickets for 700 naira and still make profit after paying rent, tax, all these things, why am I giving 10,000 naira as offering in a church? For what exactly? Why am I so lazy? Why can't I just obey the voice of Jesus and go and genuinely help someone who needs help? You see a pastor wearing Gucci and Louboutin and Rolex, and I wear all those things, but I sweat for it. I don't collect people's 10%.
Speaking about pastors who dress in fashionable ways,
yes,
isn't it just normal that these people have stylish sides of them? Because they're pastors.
The moment you collect 10% from anybody, you have no right to be stylish. On whose bill?
But what if the churches have a structure whereby the pastors have the salary and they don't necessarily have everything that comes from the tithe?
Let me see them stop collecting tithe. Let them stop for 1 year. Let's see who will still be a pastor. Maybe you can come and preach. Stop collecting tithe. Preach that word that Jesus preached. At least Jesus did not collect tithe. Jesus fed the 5,000. In Nigeria, the 5,000 feed these thieves. Imagine Jesus standing on the pulpit and collecting food from the 5,000. Poor people. I've heard doctrines like, even if you came here with 50 naira and that's all you have, give it, let God bless you. I'm like, hello, someone that came with 50 naira that you should dash 100 naira so he can find his way home. You are telling him to bring his transport money. And yeah, I cannot encourage anybody to give any money to. I'm sorry. If I go to the Catholic Church, I give 1,000 naira or 500. I pay for the AC and the ambience you're giving me. But it ends there. There's always somebody who needs food. There's always somebody who needs rent. There's always somebody who needs water. There's always somebody who needs school fees. And if I give it to the school, the church, they will build a school that person that needs school fees will still not be able to attend.
Okay, but what if individuals decide they go to church today, there's probably visiting pastor and they were moved by the message, and they say, okay, so if you feel moved and you want to give, you can come and give. Do you think there's anything wrong with that?
You see, offering, on the other hand, is something that was done in the Bible. The disciples received offering. But there's something Paul said. Paul said, since we work by the gospel, we should live by the gospel. But I would rather die than enforce that right I have to live by the gospel, so that tomorrow I can brag that I preach this message to you free of charge. That's another part of the Bible they don't preach. And it's a part of Nigerian pastors I don't see, even the ones that call themselves Paul, and I don't see that side of Paul in them. Nobody wants to brag that they are preaching this message to you free, except me, of course. That's why I have a day job. So anything you see me wear, just know that it's either I worked for it and they paid me money. Not that anybody came to give me anything, because don't come and dash me things. There are people who need, if you love me, hire me to be your MC. Then pay me fees that I charge as MC. or come on my show or sponsor my program, but do not dash me money because you've heard me speak well. There are people who need dashing of money, genuine people.
Okay, now let's talk about pastors who have been in the news for controversy, for different scandals, so to speak. Now, as men of God who are supposed to be leaders, and then you hear them in the news for scandals, and then they don't come out to defend themselves, or they come out to make these people that accuse them look like, I would say, look like they're not saying the truth. What do you have to say? Are you of the opinion that men of God should not even be involved in scandals at all?
This is where grace comes in. The teaching of grace. You see, we cannot obey all the law. It's not in us. No matter how much Holy Spirit you try to we know that is why Jesus had to die for your sins. Because he knows that you cannot obey all the law. And guess what? The law is ridiculous. Leviticus 19:27 says do not shave your beard. And Leviticus 19:28 says do not tattoo. And then all your daddy geos have clean shaven beard, and they'll be telling someone that has tattoo that person is a sinner. Is it not mediocrity and hypocrisy at the highest? Buffoonery? How can you are breaking 27, but you are pointing finger at someone that is breaking 28, whereas the two of them are tied together? So it's obvious you can't keep the law. So yes, sometimes people fall short. I wouldn't say I'm a human being. Have not fallen short. I pray to God I don't fall short. But if I do fall short, it's because I'm a human being. And his grace, his blood that was shed for my redemption is available for me to tap into. So I will not look at a pastor who had a scandal as a bad person. It's how he handles that scandal that will make me. You don't come out and tell us that you are going to give us, like that clown in Abuja. What did he say? He was going to give us a robust reply. And he sweeps it under the gutter. That's wrong. If you come out and say, look, I did this, I'm sorry, or you decide that you cannot come out and say you are sorry, do you understand? Don't make the person look or feel less than a human being. Look at that other one that locked that woman up for... I can get angry if there are things you say about me, I'll lock you up. But I would lock you up maybe 2 days, 3 days after that. The Spirit of God would say, leader of the free nation, you have put someone inside prison. You know, I can't keep a woman in prison for 3 months because she said something about me. I don't know how to defend that. Jesus is clear on using mercy instead of judgment. And it's displayed when the woman with the issue of blood was caught in the very act of adultery. It wasn't a rumor of adultery. It wasn't a suspicion. She was caught in it. And he didn't give judgment. He gave mercy. So where's the mercy? That's my question.
Okay. Now let's deviate a little bit. Let's talk about the celebrity life, the life of our superstars in Nigeria. Now we have celebrities who are married, and before I go there, I'd like to say, okay, yes, we know these things happen in everyday life. People have challenges. The difference is they're not in our faces, so we can't see them. But these people have chosen careers that have put them in our faces. Yeah. And then we have them they get married, and a couple of months later, few years down the line, they get divorced, and then they bring it all out to social media. My question is, do you think social media has a good effect on celebrities' personal life or a bad effect?
I've been a victim of this same thing you're talking about. I've had a messy divorce, and it was all out there. Initially not by my doing, because it was thrown out there by the other party, and I also, I tell people who follow me that, look, if you're looking for a mature and respectful person, don't follow me. I'm not mature and I'm not respectful. I learned from a young age that when people put me down, they heap a burden on me. And I feel sad and I feel depressed. But as you put me down, if I give it back to you, I give you back your burden. So it has always worked for me. So if you come and abuse me on social media, if I catch you, I will abuse you. Not because I hate you, but just that burden of negativity that I want to put on my head, that will make me wallow around for 2 or 3 days, and I'll be sad and dejected. Doesn't it happen to you? There's a way I'll talk to you that if I come back, I'll come and look at you and say, wow, why are you looking so wrinkled? Or why is your shirt tattered? It would affect you. So instead of me allowing it to affect me, I throw it back to you quickly. So that's why I come out on social, or that's why I came out on social media to defend myself back then. And I've seen it happen in a lot of marriages. When you're loving yourselves is out there.
Yes.
And many of us are not respectful enough to know that. I like the way the Oni and his former Olori, I like the way you could tell that there was a bit of disagreement. You could tell that not everybody is pleased, but they were very respectful about how they went about it. I'm sure the Olori has her own secrets that she wants to tell the world, and I'm sure the Oni too has his own side, but nobody hears the side. The Oni just rewrote the book on how to lay a dead marriage to rest, respecting the marriage. When someone dies, you don't carry their body and throw it in a river. You do a funeral, you lay it to rest respectfully. So it's something I'm also trying to learn, because like I said, I'm from the school of you attack me, I attack you back.
Yeah, but what do you think makes celebrities in our country, most especially, to have, what do you think is the cause of the increase in the separation and the divorce?
A lot of factors. You have a church-based marriage that has no basis in Christianity. The way marriage was back then is not the way marriage is now. A man was the head of the home. Leah looked at Jacob one day and said, Baba, this my nanny will fit you. Nanny, go and meet Baba. Those things don't happen anymore. A woman is senior to a man. That's if she agrees. Most times, she manages sometimes to just be on his level. So you cannot come and bring biblical doctrine of when Leah dashed her handmaid to Jacob and...
It's funny how you went all the way back then.
Oh, you understand. And when Solomon had 300 wives and 700 concubines, and when David left, was it 10 of his wives behind, his concubines? For someone to leave 10 out of, so you must have at least 12, leave 10. So the way marriage was then, the way they were living their lives then, and I remember when David was on the roof looking at Bathsheba, and when the prophet came with the word of God after he had killed her husband and all that, he said something that, he said, I gave you Saul's house, I gave you his kingdom, and I gave you his wives unto your bosom. And if you had wanted more, all you needed to do was ask. Nobody asks a man in 2017 if he wants more women. So my problem is when you say your marriage is based on the Bible, I say, what part of the Bible?
You're saying that the Bible is giving men permission to have more than one.
It was until Jesus came, at least.
Okay, at least I know the New Testament.
And you see, if you are a lawyer, you'd understand that yes, Jesus said one man with one woman, but he didn't outrightly abolish having concubines. Abraham had, David had, Joseph. I'm not going into that today, but I want you to understand that a Nigerian man has a traditional mentality. And then the Bible also has that traditional mentality. But then you now want to turn it into one angle. You will find it that these men are not keeping up with it.
Okay, sorry to cut you short, so I don't forget my point. So now, in this traditional mentality of the men, your freedship should, I think, stands for the opinion where you should not allow your mind to be trapped by culture and religious beliefs.
Yes.
So I question, by not being trapped, don't you think if a Nigerian man says he's African in nature, so he can have more than one woman,
he's a sheeple.
Isn't that being trapped?
He's a sheeple. You see, at the end of the day, it boils down to what do you want out of life. If you want to have a monogamous relationship, give a monogamous relationship. Don't go into a monogamous relationship while you are a polygamist. That will not work. If you are looking for polygamy, go into a polygamous relationship. You can back it up with the Bible from the same part where tithe is being backed up. You can back it up if you want to be a polygamist. Okay, I listen to Jesus, but I don't want to listen to this one man, one wife thing. Just like I don't listen to him when he said tithe is not so important. So you understand. But don't lie to the other person. Don't build a marriage on false pretenses.
Okay, so what would you say is one of the basic or one of the most frequent causes of divorce in marriages in Nigeria?
People not being true to themselves. Then the person you're in the marriage with, I've been in a marriage where I sat down and asked myself, what am I doing here? But I can't get out because I'm a sheeple. Everybody's going to ask me, you have failed in your marriage. I had uncles. One uncle called me up and said that, I had to put him in his place. Called me up and said that, do you know that your career will be affected by your divorce? Do you know that soldiers in the army, if they get divorced, they are demoted? I said, Baba, I'm not a soldier. So that mentality, a lot of people are inside marriages that they're not supposed to be in. Maybe they got a girl pregnant, then they felt, okay, I shouldn't have a child out of wedlock. And you get married. Should you really be married? Then you are living in hell, you are cheating, she's cheating, and you are beating each other. It doesn't make any sense. So also learn that those people you are carrying your sweet marriage to come and show off are waiting for you the day you are going to come and cry to them. I don't know if I'm making sense. So keep your marriage as much as possible. I know you want to show that woman. It's sweeting you when you are in a relationship and the guy is scattering your head. You want to hold his hand. You want to kiss him on the road. Yes, I know. But just make sure that you're of the same accord so that one day he doesn't say, hey, don't kiss me on the road again. I'm not doing it again. Then you look like a fool.
Okay, so would you say it's advisable for men to have side chicks in relationships?
Nope. It's a very wrong approach, especially if you want to have a monogamous relationship. I will never advise any guy to have a side chick. Never.
Why would?
Because, first of all, it's going to destroy the trust your wife has for you unless she's the one that approves you to have a side chick, which I'm sure that. Can you approve your man?
Find out?
You see, I was hanging out with my friend the other day and he broke the exhaust of his bike. So the mechanic now came and said, you know what, we'll just bend it like this and use this place to cover it. Nobody will know. He said, I would know. You shouldn't live your life like this thing I'm doing, nobody, because there's nothing you are hiding that cannot come to light. Do you understand? A man and a woman are in a police in a hotel, and armed robbers come to the hotel and round everybody up. And all of a sudden, what you are hiding comes out. So you can't live a lie. Is either you let your woman know that, okay, I want to be having side chick, or can you deal with it? And I know no Nigerian woman will give you that go ahead. There's no Leah, there's no Rachel in Nigeria today.
Okay, so how important do you think sex is in keeping a marriage together?
95%.
So you're saying that the most causes of divorce in Nigeria is because...
Maybe I should say to me, I don't know what... I'm not an expert on marriage or an expert on sexuality. But I know that if two people are in a marriage and they're not sexually compatible, is hellfire. If you want to be with your woman 6 times a week and your woman wants 1 time a week, you people will be fighting. You will not be happy. You will have side chick. Because I know people that can sleep with their wife 7 times a week and not get tired. So imagine you now have a wife that wants to sleep with you once in 2 weeks. It's frustration. You will have a side. If I'm in a relationship, like, I'll have a side chick. I'll just announce to my followers, in order for me not to run mad with this woman in this house, this is my side chick. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So sexual compatibility is very important. If there are men that like sex once in 2 weeks, you meet a woman that likes sex once a week, you will not fight too much.
Yeah.
You just double up, or she slows down. This week you double up, next week she slows down. You guys are evenly matched.
Okay, now let me go a bit personal. Would you say that the cause of the cause of the problem in your former marriage was because you were not sexually compatible?
There were many problems. I cannot sit down and take sexual incompatibility and put the whole blame on it. There were many. We were not friends. She didn't understand the person who I was or the person who I evolved to be. We met in the university, and we were young, and we're in the same class. So our lives were in like the same, we're rolling together until I moved into entertainment and she moved into oil and gas. And she always wanted a more mature guy, and I never really grew up. I'm still the fun-loving guy who likes to make noise and have fun. So we started drifting apart. So I cannot blame it on this or that. I just can say we were not compatible.
Okay, for curiosity's sake, if you were not in a relationship now and working towards marriage, do you think it would have ever been possible to work through the problems you had in your former marriage?
God forbid. Never. I've heard never say never, but this one I say never. And I'm sure she also says never. Let me not feel like one fine guy that somebody wants to marry. No, it wasn't working. It's too much of bondage trying to fix it.
Okay.
Do you understand?
And then when she called you out on social media for different forms of abuses, were those accusations right, or were those accusations?
I've been living with a woman. I can give you my phone. You call her. Use your own phone to call her. We shout. It ends there. I've never said I will slap you. You know, abuse starts with I will slap you, yes, not the slap. We have never had an argument, and it's not like we don't have issues. We're surrounded by issues. The divorce itself is an issue, frustrating us left, right, and center. But we always find this. I know, yes, we have heated arguments, but we're friends. We understand each other. We can sit down. We can gist about it. I know her threshold. I know when I'm pushing it, and she also knows when when she doesn't know that she's pushing it, there's a way I let her know that you're pushing it now. So it's fixable because we stand on a common ground where we can negotiate. The former one it's not fixable. We don't see eye to eye on anything. And there was one day we're having an argument. I realized that we actually do not see eye to eye on anything. I would never have been able to do free shipu. How? You know. So, and that's why I like the way the Oni's marriage went. Respectable man, respectable woman. I'm not doing it again. Okay, you can go and remarry. Even though the Ifa priest said you cannot, the guy said, I give you my consent, go and remarry. If anywhere down the line, that marriage can be fixed. Yeah. Do you understand? Because 4 years down the line, okay, I forgive you. Annoyed me that time. I want to come back. But not when you come all out and, you attack somebody that we come all out back. And then no. I've gotten to a place of comfort where I have thoughts and I cringe. It was that bad.
Okay, so now that you're in this new amazing relationship, are we? Oh well, that's how this sounds. Yeah. So, are we seeing you getting married soon? Does your past experience make you want to take slower steps as regards marriage?
I'll say the slower steps I'm taking are because of legal reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of legal cords around our necks.
Okay.
So once we get those done with, it would only be a matter of minutes.
Oh, minutes. Okay. Okay. Well, it's been an amazing chat with you. I must say, I have been enlightened about a whole lot of things. But then my opinions are still my opinions. We're here to.
If I see you paying tithe in any church, I will flog you.
The good thing is you don't go to a church I go to.
I will find out, and I'll come there and I'll use cane to drive you home.
But then again, it's been an amazing chat, I must say. There are a whole lot. And I'm sure people at home, after watching this, they must have written on a couple of Bible verses that they will go back to watch.
Yes, they have
and
to.
They will definitely have something to think about. And we wish to Free the Sheeple movement a blast, because this looks like something that's taking Nigeria to the next level if people pay attention to it.
People are paying attention.
Exactly. The more people that pay attention.
And we're going somewhere.
Yes, we are going somewhere. Okay, guys, there you have it. It's been an amazing chat with Daddy Freeze on the interview by Linda Ikeji TV. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Linda Ikeji TV. If you want to talk to Daddy Freeze, if you want to get more information about the Free the Sheeple movement, on Instagram it's Daddy Freeze.
Yes.
On Twitter it's
Daddy Freeze to FRZ. I don't. So, just put the hashtag Free the Sheeple.
So you can contact him for more information, and if you want to learn more about the Free the Sheeple, I'm sure he'll be definitely willing to talk to you. If you want to talk to me on Instagram, it's Tokwe Olonio. Until next time, do take care of yourself.